Good evening and welcome to our last shiur this year, Shnas Tuvshin Pai. Question: if I come to shul in the middle of the brachas and the shofar, what should I do? The answer is, if you could make the bracha by yourself before they start blowing, then you should make your bracha on yourself. You should make the bracha, and you'll finish together with the shlich tzibur. And that's if you come in the middle of the bracha. But if you come when he finishes the bracha, before it starts blowing, and you cannot make the bracha before he will start blowing, then just listen to the tkiya shofar, and you'll be yoitze even though you didn't make a bracha. Next question: does a sick person need to come out of bed by tkiya shofar? The answer is no, he does not. The Alter Rebbe brings down in Shulchan Aruch Siman Tuf Pai Hai Sif Beis that only the Baltekaya is mechuyev to stand by tkiya shofar, but people who listen and are yoitz from tkiya shofar do not have to stand. Avada leketchila, the minig is that everybody stands, even by tkiyas the miyushav. But if a person is in a hospital bed or he's in bed and he cannot come out, it's perfect, fine that he should listen to tkiya shofar even when he's laying on the bed. Question: can a boy under 13 years old blow shofar for a woman? This is a good question which I received more than once. People go on mefzoim and they won't be able to blow in some areas, and they have a boy, 12-year-old boy who knows how to blow halacha. He wants to blow and he could go. So if it is in such a situation that if that boy won't go to blow shofar and the lady will not hear tkiya shofar, then b'shas chag the boy should go and blow shofar. But if not, it shouldn't be a boy on the bar mitzvah. Why? Because a couple of reasons. There's one reason the poskim bring, because a cotton ein loy das in kavona, and since it's a mitzvah deraisa, you have to have kavona. A cotton ein lem das, so that's why he cannot blow. Now, if this would be the only reason, some poskim say that if you have a gudel oimed al gabov, that will be fine. That means if you have a boy which is older than 13, which he doesn't know how to blow, but he's oimed al gabov and tells him that you should have kavona a mitzvah lishma, then that will be fine. So if that boy goes with the older boy, which is bar mitzvah, that's fine. Then, according to this tam, according to this reason, she could be yoitza. But some cases you don't have a person which is older than 13 going along. So basically, you have a problem. A cotton doesn't have das in kavona lishma. Another reason which some boys can bring is since nosham, the ladies kibli alayim tkiya shofar, although they're not mechuyev to hear tkiya shofar, but they are makabel already on themselves to hear the mitzvah of tkiya shofar. So it is like some kind of chiyev already, and therefore a cotton which is not mechuyev cannot be yoitze a lady which is mechiv. That means the sahava minute should be, because since a lady is not mechiv tkiya shofar and a cotton is not mechiv tkiya shofar, so therefore they are the same mechiv. Maybe the cotton could be moitze the lady, but since ladies kibli alayim the mitzvah of tkiya shofar, it is like so to speak a chiv on them. They took upon themselves that the mitzvah of tkiya shofar. So therefore they are machiv, and the cotton are not machiv. So therefore the cotton cannot blow shofar for a lady. But some poskim say that b'shas chag, the lady won't hear shofar, then a cotton should blow, because it might be that will say stum lishma. B'shas chag we could rely on some poskim which say that when the cotton blows, it is good for a lady. So therefore, if she has no option and nobody else will come blow shofar, only that boy on the bar mitzvah, it's a shas chag, then he could go. But if there's an older person which could go, then the older person should go, and not a cotton should not blow tkiya shofar by miftzah. Next question. May I put a mask on the shofar now in Corona era? The answer is no. You don't put a mask on the shofar, because the halacha is that anytime when you put something on the shofar and it changes the voice, so therefore you're not yoytze tkiya shofar, because the Torah said that you should hear the call of a shofar and not call of a shofar and something else. So by putting on a mask on the shofar, it's not 100% clear that that's considered you change the voice. Some want to say that it is considered changing the voice. Some want to say that it's not considered changing the voice, it is only lowering the voice, but it's not necessarily changing the voice. But in any case, you're talking about the mitzvah sasa daraisa, and if you change the voice, you're not yoytze, so you don't do that. And you don't have to go overboard with those things. There's other solutions too. Even now in Corona era, and you have people who will not want to be around right next to the shofar, so the best solution will be if you take the baltekaya, although in Shulchan Aruch is mentioned that the baltekaya should stand on the bima where you lay Torah, over there he should stand, but in such an area like this, he cannot stand in the middle of the shul, he could stand right up front, mizrach, and he could cover himself with his talis, and that would not be a problem, because the talis is not on the shofar. The mask, when you put it, it's on the shofar direct, so the voice has to go through the shofar and something else. But over here, even if you cover the talis, the talis does not cover the shofar, only the shofar. It covers the person's head, which the shofar is underneath. That should not be a problem. Or you have another solution. The baltekaya should stand by the door, and maybe even outside of the door, and the door is open, and all the people were here, shofar, through the door. You should, so you have other solutions. It's not kedai to go in to a solution which might be problematic halachically. So therefore, no, don't put on any masks on it. Go up from the mizrach, cover yourself with a talis or half with a talis, or go stand by the door, or even out of the door. The door is open, and you could hear kol shofar in the shul. Next question. May we have somebody standing by the door of the shul and testing the temperature of people? Since we don't want that people who have fever should come in, because they might be sick with corona, if it's allowed, somebody should be by the door and check the people. The answer is only through a goy. Through a goy, a goy is permitted to check the fever with a thermometer, because it's a drabonan, and even today's day the thermometers are also, the temperature readers are also pashtas drabonan, it's LED, etc. So it's shvus de shvus, and it's b'mukam tzoyrech. You might, a person which has corona might make sick other people, might be a chashash, the chashash of pekich nefesh. So therefore, through a goy, it's not a problem if you have to do it. If you don't have to do it, don't do it. But if it's in such a shuls which people will not come in shul, if they have a suffix that there are people who have fever, so therefore you can have a goy which he doesn't do anything, just the goy holds it right next to his head and he checks it. This you could do, but not through a yid. Next question. A person that knows that if you will fast on some Gedalia, you might not be able to fast on Yom Kippur. Should you fast on some Gedalia? Okay, this is a question which is discussed in the Achroinim, and there's a big machloikes Achroinim on this question. Some Achroinim, the Butchucheruf, say that you should fast because now you're healthy, you could fast, you gotta fast. Yom Kippur you won't be able to fast, so then you're oinus, so you should fast. But askumas from the poiskim are not like this. And askumas poiskim is that the person which there is raglaim laduva, that means there is good reason. It's not just somebody he's afraid, if he has good reason that if he's going to fast on some Gedalia, he won't be able to fast on Yom Kippur. Ibefrat this year when people were sick with corona and they still didn't recover 100%. So askumas apoiskim that they shouldn't fast at some Gedalia, they should be able to fast on Yom Kippur. Next question. This question came in from the daily halacha shir, which is said by a Rabbi Cantor of Thailand. What is the proper bracha, rishoina and bracha achroina for a granola bar like Nature Valley? The answer to this is like this. According to the Alter Rebbe in Berchas Hanam, the granola, if it's grain, full grain, whole grain, and it's not cooked, let's say it's baked or steamed, it's not cooked, then since it stays the whole grain, it is a proire pri hadumu. If it's cooked, then it becomes a boire min mazoinas. And when it comes to brucha achroina, it's the same thing. If it's cooked, it is ala mechio. If it has a shir, kemiven, obvious if it has a shir, the shir what you make ala mechio. And if it is not cooked, when I mean cook, it not necessarily has to be cooked. It could be even soaked in water or in hot milk, and it becomes one piece like a bar through cooking, then it's a boire min mazoinas and ala michyu. And if it's not cooked, it's a boire preadumu and a boire nefushos. Nature Valley is first cooked and then it's baked. So since the granola is cooked, the bracha will be boire min mazoinas and the brucha achroina will be al hamichyu. Next question. In the previous year, number 15, you said that one is allowed to ask a goy to open the refrigerator door on Shabbos to get out the Shabbos food, even though the light is on. The question is, what do you do next? A very good question. What do you do next? The answer is like this. It depends if it's before the Suda, a night Suda, the night meal, or it's in the morning meal. If it's in the morning meal, let's say at night Suda you were away and you came home and you're going to eat at home the morning Suda and you realize that you forgot to put off the light. So as we mentioned then, you ask a goy to open up the refrigerator, and since he doesn't have kavona mamash to open the light, only to open the door, even though it's a subsikraisha, but a goy you have no problem. So then he opens the refrigerator, you take out the food which you need for the Suda, and the goy shuts the refrigerator, closes the refrigerator again, and it is the same thing as he has the right to open the refrigerator, even though it's a psikraish, he's going to open the light. He could close the refrigerator, even though you know he's going to close the light. So that's what you need to do. He closes the refrigerator after you take out all the food which you need for the Suda, and you don't put it back after the Suda. You could wait all this stuff which you took out the refrigerator till at night, till Motzei Shabbos. But if it's before the Suda at night, so if the goy closes the refrigerator door, you cannot open it again tomorrow morning only through a goy. Now you'll have to look at goy again. So the solution will be that then the door is open, you tell for the goy to unscrew the light, and once the light is unscrewed, you have no problem next morning to open up the refrigerator and take out the stuff. You cannot do it in the morning, only at night, because when at night you could do it. In the morning, since it's not important that he should take out the bulb, so it's much better halachically that he closes the door, and you have the heter of the goy has no kavona to close the light, he has the kavona of closing the refrigerator, and in psikrai goy there's no problem. But turning it out, telling the goy should turn off the light, that it is already saying for the goy directly to make a malacha. It's taka only a malacha d'Rabbanan, because kibi is only a malacha d'Rabbanan, but you're telling him to make a malacha. It's not like closing the door of the refrigerator. When you close the door, it will close the light. It's not a psikra, even though it's a psikraisha, but his kavan is to close the refrigerator door and not to shut the light. But when you tell him to screw out the bulb or shut the bulb, you're telling him to make the malacha. Now, in order to tell a goy to make a malacha, even though it's only a d'Rabbanan, shvuz the shvuz has to be letzorich Shabbos or letzorich hefset. So if it's at night and you have the morning meal, it's letzorich Shabbos, and you cannot take out all the food of which you need for Shabbos because it's going to get spoiled. So since it's letzorich Shabbos, you can tell him at night to turn off the light. But in the morning, since it's not letzorich Shabbos and it's not letzorich hefset, because you don't have another meal to eat Shabbos because it's already the morning meal, so therefore you can only tell him to close the door after you take out the food and not to tell him to turn off the light. Next question. If you make flower-shaped ice cubes on a weekday, can you put them in drinks on Shabbos and Yom Tov? The answer is no problem. You can take any ice cube and put it into water or soda, even though it has a shape. There is no problem with that. Next question. During the year, we eat cereals and granola bars with reliable hechsher. During a sesimai tshuva, should we only use with heimish hashgacha? The answer is yes, because as I mentioned before, that granola bar is cooked before they bake it. So since it's cooked, you're going into a problem of bishul akim. Now, of course, there are some kind of a item, since it has to still go a process afterwards. So it's not the final destination, the cooking. It has to still go putting in honey and other stuff and then being baked again. But this is a machloikes hapoiskem. If when you cook something and it's done, it's ready to eat, even though it needs to, in order to what I want it still has to go another process, if it's a problem of bishul akim or not. Now there are poskim lakan and poskim lakan. It's kedai to be a machmar on this, because a lot of poskim say it is still a problem of bishul akim. So therefore, when it comes to sesimai tshuva, especially, you have to be machmar on this more, and you should only eat with a reliable hechsher. A follow-up question: as a lababisher, can we be Michael in Pasi Sruel during the sesimai tshuva? Of course not. Even though the question basically is if you could be Michael in Pasi Sruel Gufa, if you have some kind of killer, which some poskim say it's already Pasi Sruel, if you should be Michael, the answer is no. Sesimai tshuva, you're not be Michael. And as a lababisher bechlal, you don't need to be Michael on Passes rule, and Mishnah's rule. Achsidam is leflim mishisadin. We don't rely on some poskim. If you could have something which it's agreed by all the poskim, you don't look for loopholes. Question. I opened my dishwasher on Shabbos and realized that there was a loction drainer on one rack. Did it become a basis? That means the rack. Did it become a basis for a loction drainer, which is basically muktzah, or can I pull out the rack? The answer is, it is no problem to pull out the rack, although the loction mixer bepashtas is mixer, but since it's mixer because it's a kailische malachtale iser, it is made to do a thing which is aser, and we know that basis is only a thing which is mixer, real mixer, not a kailische malachtale iser. A kailische malachtale iser does not become a basis, so therefore you have no problem pulling out the dishwasher rack, even though there's a loction drainer in it. Follow-up question. What happens if I discover on Shabbos and Yom Tov that I forgot to unload the dishwasher? Can I unload it? The answer is like this. Sorting is not permitted on Shabbos and Shabbos because it's considered boirer. So, but in order it should be considered sorting, boirer has to touch each other. So therefore, in a dishwasher, usually all the plates and the cups are separately. Nothing touches each other. So therefore, since they don't touch, everything is separately, you have no problem to take out the dishwasher, the plates, the cups, and putting it to place. But when it comes to utensils, which you put it in a basket and it's mixed together, then you cannot sort it separately because that's already considered boiler. So the answer to the question is, if it's a dishwasher which the plates are not touching each other, everything is on a separate rack, so to speak, you could put it away on Shabbos. If it is utensils, you cannot put it away because it's considered boiler. Okay, we'll stop here, and next week will not be a shir because it is Rosh Hashanah, and you should all have a wonderful week, and aksiva v'chsima toiva, and Hashanah toiva mesukah. A good week.